So it's 2 o'clock. Welcome, everybody. I'm Pascal Brackman, co-founder of RouteYou, and I welcome you on one of our last webinar of the season before the summer. And it's about what's new on RouteYou since about 6 months since we give our last update at the end of 2021. So just a few practical aspects. You can't ask questions because your microphone is on mute, but you can ask questions using the chat function, and that's where you find it on the black bar of your Zoom functionality. And we are watching the questions, and we will try to answer them immediately. Rein, and here's Rein Simon, my colleague and responsible for communication and marketing. She will answer the questions while I'm talking, and I will answer the questions while she is talking. You don't have to take notes because we are recording this webinar, and we will send you the coming days a recording of this video. It's going to be on YouTube. I advise you to have a look at them. It's nicely structured, so you can click on an individual item. It's an overview of a lot of features we're covering today. So you will not have all the details, but we will put links in the webinar so you can click on more detailed information if you're interested in having that detailed information. So the topic of today is what's new on RouteYou for the last 6 months. Let me just give an overview where we invest in. There are 3 domains we invest in as RouteYou. That's the content you find on the platform, that's the functionality, and that's the community. And all those things are interacting with each other, and one is helping the other. For instance, functionality might help you to create better content. And of course, the bigger the community is, the more feedback you get on your content, and the more feedback you get on somebody else's content, which we will use and are using as a quality control system. So those 3 are interacting, and that's why we are investing a lot in those 3 domains. We're going to first cover content, but let me first tell you how are we investing it. Well, that's especially with manpower. This is just an open vacancy we're now promoting. So we're busy recruiting a geomatics person, which will work further on the items which I will cover immediately. And that's, for instance, the network updates. A lot of data analysis is being done, so that's one of the parts those people do. So we're currently 9 people, and we are extending to 11 people the coming months. So the basic network updates, that's one of the prime tasks which we are doing. So that's worldwide. We're using several base maps. One of the main base maps is OpenStreetMap. So that's basic network we are updating every month worldwide, and we are adding and adapting certain information so you can plan your routes worldwide. So that's what we do monthly. That's what we keep on doing monthly. What happened in the meantime? Well, since the beginning of this year, we also became a corporate member of OpenStreetMap, which means that we are extending our close collaboration with OpenStreetMap, are helping them out further and updating the maps because that's also good for our users, for you to have as quickly as possible an updated map of OpenStreetMap. So that's what went on and what's relatively new. What's also new is that in the past, if you were planning a route in the north of the world, and with the north we're meaning more north than 66 degrees, then you got a flat line because we didn't have a height map there. Simply put, because most of the height maps which we were using were from a shuttle mapping job, and that was only covering 66 degrees. So we've extended that now. So now you can also plan in the north of Canada, Sweden, Norway, Finland, and you will have the usual height information with all the necessary classifications of difficulties and so on. So that's also been extended. We also extended and continuously are updating maps, but there's one major new one, which is the Topomap of France, which has been added. If you zoom out, you don't see the detail that much. Here you have an overview of the area of Paris, but we will see later on, if you zoom in detail, you get all the detailed information which you're used to have from a topographic map, as you see here. We are also investing a lot in the content in the networks, such as the cycling and the walking node networks. This is a walking node network in the Benelux. You see the blue was beginning of 2021 and at the end of 2021. The red one is what we have currently available. So in this area, there's been an extension. There have been a lot of updates, so you don't see that on that map. But there's a big extension here in the area of Emmen, as you can see. But in comparison with the cycling node network, that's not so dramatic. So let's have a look at the cycling node network. This is the cycling node network of 2021. This is what it's now. So after 6 months, you see huge extension here in the northwest of Germany, but also in the center part of Germany, close to Münster, but also in the area of Aachen, the connection with Zuid-Limburg. There's a lot of connections, and also in Wallonia, there are quite some extensions in the south of Belgium. So that's extending a lot. So the node network is conquering further Western Europe, as we will see. It's not only here. Let's zoom out a little bit. And if you look here, this is the east of Germany, close to Berlin and close to Dresden. There's a huge patch of extended cycling node network. Denmark also made its first steps, and we're helping out there. You hardly see them here, but it's going steadily and nicely. So here you see already a few patches, and it looks like the plan is that there's also going to be a lot of node cycling networks in Denmark. So we probably might have a connection in Germany, Netherlands, Benelux, Belgium, France, because also in the north of France, which we are also extending the node network as well for cycling as for walking. And that's especially the organization NOR, the touristic organization of NOR in France, which is working on this. Besides the cycling and walking, there are also a lot of other networks. I just mentioned a few. This is one for horses. So the horse network in Limburg and in Brabant in the Netherlands existed already. Now it's been extended with a horse network in the Zonian forest, and I'll come back to that later on, is there and around Brussels. So it's still a local network. Another example of a local great network is the mountain bike network of Sport Flanders, which you can see here. It's a set of individual routes, but you can also use it to plan your complete route and create your mountain bike route yourself. So that's something we are continuously helping to post. We mentioned this already last year, that the content is growing nice and exponential, which is offered on the platform. And we're just checking how is that evolving. And we can just say, well, the evolution keeps on going. So these are the number of routes we had in November 2021. These are the number of routes, more than 6.6 million for the moment. Also the points of interest, that's growing steadily, not so fast as the points as the routes, but it's a steady growth. It's especially something we invest in, but also you as a user can add points of interest, places of interest on the map, as we will see later on. Let's have a look in more detail about what kind of content is growing fast and offered fast and more on the platform. Gravel bikes, some people were thinking is like this is maybe just a hype which will pass. From what we see now, it's definitely continuing. We see, for instance, that in the beginning of this year, we had about 7,500 routes. This is now more than doubled in 6 months time. So it's more than 16,000 routes which are available on the platform. If we just have a look a year ago, if we looked at the top routes which were created as gravel bike routes, it was especially in the Benelux. You now see the last 1,000 gravel bike routes which are created. I just plotted them quickly. If I would have taken the 15,000, it would be a big blur. So you can still see there's a big concentration going on in the Benelux, but it's a story which is happening everywhere in Western Europe, this gravel bike. Yeah, we can't call it a hype anymore. I think it's something there to stay. What's also obvious is that a few of the niches keep on going. So they're not in a total amount, a huge number of routes. But you see here inline skating. Oh, sorry, this is not translated. It's boat routes, routes for horses and horse riders, and old-timers. You see old-timers is quite going well. Those are the numbers of the last years. So let's have a look on what's going on now. Scooters and scooter routes, so motorbike routes have done traditionally very well and keep on going. But scooter routes are increasingly growing in popularity. We still see that now. So you see a growth from 15,000 to 19,000 now in 6 months' time. So that's also huge growth. Old-timers keep on growing, not as fast as the scooters, but still is growing also nicely, the old-timer routes. And we just gave a webinar last week about how to use RouteYou for old-timers. And this is just, yeah, the trend we are currently also supporting further. Inline skating is still a very small niche, but you see it's also steadily growing with about a bit less than 1,000 routes in 6 months' time, which is fine, but it stays, of course, in niche in comparison with walking and cycling. So there are a lot of partners which are still active on RouteYou, which are continue to be active on RouteYou, and there are a lot of partners which came on board the last 6 months. So here's just a few of them. They are, of course, providing professional routes and professional content, such as points of interest, with a lot of information to the platform and where you can make use of. We had already a lot of umbrella programs, which means that we work together with the umbrella organizations, and they help their sub-organizations to make use of RouteYou. 3 nice examples are Wandelsport Vlaanderen, Passar, and Cycling Vlaanderen are 3 examples which are currently active, and their clubs are making use of RouteYou, or their sub-organizations are making use of RouteYou, and we centrally help them out in training the users and making good use of their content. So that's what's going on. If you would be part of such an umbrella organization or another umbrella organization, you can always contact us via info@routeyou.com to see what we can do for your umbrella organizations and programs. Let's have a look at a few other who joined. I just took out a few typical examples. So there are a lot more organizations which came in the last 6 months, but a few obvious ones. The travel sector, that's relatively new, jumped on board, such as Zuiderhuis and Noorderhuis, which are travel organizations. They provide their content privately to their customers, so they don't extend it, because their business model, of course, is that you have to order a route there. So that's also possible with RouteYou. There's another organization which is in the travel sector, more in the hotel sector or overnight sector, which is Fairbnb. So they become also a partner and also published all their Fairbnb places which are available on the platform, so you can combine it with your routes. Then a big example of France is the area of Nord. They are using RouteYou and our partner NodeMap for creating and publishing information and making it available to the visitors of the north of France and to of course, the own inhabitants. There's also a lot of Dutch organizations, smaller communities, municipalities, which are making use of RouteYou. We see that a trend going happening everywhere, that a lot of small municipalities want to offer their local information, their local routes via RouteYou to their users. So that's also a trend which we see. And also a lot of service-oriented related organizations. A good example is Bike Republic, which became partner. Bike Republic offers bikes. So the link, of course, with RouteYou is quickly made. So they offer their customers and also people who are interested in cycling routes from Bike Republic using RouteYou, and make such a link with their customers and with their service. There's also a lot of investment from our side with charity programs. So we are supporting charity programs. Here are just a few of them. If you're a charity organization, please contact us with info@routeyou.com. There are a lot of events we probably can help you out with, and so you can contact us. An important one is the premium account. We extended with the royalty-free maps. Before, that was also only available for professional accounts. What does that mean? All the maps you find, which are based on the RouteYou map, that's an important one because we don't have royalties, for instance, about the topographic maps. But if it's based on the RouteYou map, you can print them, sell them if you are allowed to make use of the royalty-free map. So a lot of premium accounts, organizations, clubs, charity organizations, they are using the maps to make, for instance, a book, and they sell the maps and they sell the book, so they get some income and for their cause. We do, of course, also a lot of community support. This webinar is just an extension. We did that last year. We keep on doing this. So the webinars also this year are even more successful than last year if we look at the total numbers, and we will publish the total numbers in a week when we have our last webinar. But according to the figures we know so far, it's been a success. Also how the webinar videos are being used and the tutorials which are made available on YouTube are used. So we keep on helping out there to support you as good as possible with all the functionality which is available. So let's have a look at that part, functionality, because that might be the part you're most interested in. Sorry about this. So there's a lot of functionality we are supporting. Let me just give you an overview. We develop a lot of functionality related to the preparation phase. The preparation phase is you want to plan a route, you want to find a route, you want to share a route before you do something. That's the first part. And we have already a lot of stuff there which has been developed and which is new the last 6 months. Also on the usage, we did a major development on the navigation, which I will present. Unfortunately, the big part, the turn-by-turn navigation, is now almost finished. We are doing the final tests, but I will show you already some results in preview. And then in the post experience and in the analysis, we also develop a lot of functionality and software. So we keep on investing on those 4 domains to make that cycle as complete and closed as possible. So what are we going to talk about? The major 8 things which we invested in and which came available the last 6 months are, first of all, following somebody else's account and get informed about those accounts, and Reen will talk about this. We also adapted the POI designer so you can emphasize on certain points of interest. The third one is something I will talk about, the new map layers and the RouteViewer functionality, which has been extended. And the fourth part will be about the navigation and the app. What's new there. There's also a lot of new things on the prints, so that's Reen will talk about that again. And there's also a lot of development done on how to personalize your news items that are fit to your interests. So that's what's also going on. And I will finish by telling something more about the MySite and MYAPP cases, which became available at the end of last year, but we extended a few things. And we also invested a lot in the RouteYou quality bot, which is checking routes from a quality point of view continuously and Also interactively with human experts, we are checking the quality of the routes. So those are the 8 items we have to talk about this afternoon. So that's a lot of stuff to cover. So I'm going to pass the word to Rain to discuss the first part and maybe also discover what follow accounts mean.
Yes, I will share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
done.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to take into account this first part about functionalities more. That is about follow account. That's something new we have. If, for example, here on the home page, I go to the route finder and go and search for a route, I end up here. And then let's say I take the first account here. That's a walk or that interests me, and I'm quite a fan of, for example, this author. I can click here and then go to his channel. Here I can find all his routes or even places of interest. And if I often do a route of that person, it might be interesting to follow that person. How do you do that? Well, here on his web page on RouteYou, you have a share button. And if you click that share button, you have the opportunity to follow this account. This means like you're kind of sharing it with yourself and saying, I want to follow this account. I get then a message that I'm following this account. And if I click it again, you can see you can use it the same way to unfollow account. Now, what happens if you follow an account? Well, we will send you some messages. And which kind of messages? Let me take you to my own homepage and my notifications. If I click it here, I go directly to my notifications. And I inserted some examples. So if you follow an account, we will mention it to you when this account has made some new routes or liked some new routes. So there are different situations of which we will inform you. So for example, this is a message. It's a test message, so it's 2 times the same walk, but normally you will have different ones. But we will suggest to you routes that this person has liked. If you follow multiple accounts, we will make a suggestion based on those different accounts. So in this case, my favorite account, Ramos, has liked new routes, and then the system will alert me of that because I might be interested in those as well, as I like to follow that account. Another example is when this account has made a new route. So if Thomas, for example, made this new walking in Ghent route, then I will get a message about it, and that might trigger my interest as well. Because if I'm interested in this person and all he does or she does on RouteYou, then that might be information I want to know. Another thing we will inform you about is when this or account that you follow makes an event. Every time you can click this, for example, this route, and we also always give you the opportunity to stop following an account if it might be too much information that is sent to you. It also works the other way around, like if somebody decides to follow you, then we will alert you about that as well. You will get a message that says that you have new followers. And then we also offer you the opportunity to follow that person in return. So you can click his account here and then decide if you're interested in what this author has to offer to you in return. And again, via the same way, you can choose to follow this account. What else? We will also make some suggestions to you for new accounts. And that looks like this message. And that will be based on your interest or on your on the way you are using RouteYou, which kind of routes you like, which kind of profiles you like. We will try to suggest some interesting accounts to you or for you to follow to keep you informed or make suggestions that are more suited for you personally. These are the messages that you will receive on your notifications directly on RouteYou, but we also send them to you. I will show you here as an email. So it's kind of the same thing. Here you will get an email with the same kind of information. Here the message again that one of my favorite accounts likes new routes, and maybe I would like to investigate these or discover these as well. So you always get some basic information and the opportunity to view the route, the event, and as said, if you don't want to follow this person anymore, stop following this person. There's one more situation in which you will receive a message, and that's when this person shares its location. So let's say, for example, if Dramos is on the road and he shares his information, his location. So that's something you can do when you start navigating. You can share your position. If he would do that, then I will get a message as well that tells me that this person is on the road and maybe I want to have a look where he is. So that's also one of the things or the consequences of following a person, the information we will direct to you. So that's about following an account. So that's a completely new feature. Then the next thing I would like to show you is about the POI designer. What is that about? Well, if I go to my RouteYou channel and to my places of interest, if you have a place of interest of yourself and you have a premium account, I'm logged in now with a premium account. How can you see that? Well, if I go to my profile, it's mentioned here in my public data. And also you can see it because from a premium account or higher, you will have a personalized banner, the opportunity to add a logo, social media profiles and things like that. So that's also an indicator that you're looking at an account that has a premium or higher. So let's say I have my own places of interest as a premium account. Well, there's one thing you can do. Everybody can add places of interest, but if you have a premium account, you can do just that little bit more. And that is about the visualization of that point of interest. So there's a default. It's the blue-greenish color we have. That's typical RouteYou. So that's the default. If I look at this POI on a map, it can be added to routes. So for example, if I go, maybe here I have routes in the vicinity of RouteYou. I have to go to my own routes, that's easier. So for example here, walking through the Henbrugse Meersen, this is the Henbrugse Meersen Sport Cluster. So this is the POI I was talking about. As you can see in default, it has a green color. But with a premium account, you can adjust your own POIs and you can also adjust the visualization. So let's say I don't want to have it to have the default color, but I want to have it to have an orange color or maybe a blue color. You can see it changes here. Let's say blue, and if I confirm, then here you can't see anything. But if I now go to the routes, and then the easiest way to go to a page you last visit is to use this shortcut, main menu, last viewed. And if I now go back to that same walk where that POI was linked to, you will now see that it appears in another color. So the information is the same, but it pops out. It's visually more visible for users in comparison to other places of interest that are linked to a certain route. The color is now not only shown in the RouteViewer on your own routes, it's also visible if you go, for example, if I go to search for a route, and I know, for example, that on my Plus account, no, I have to say the name RouteYou, I have routes in that same vicinity. So let's say I go to this running tour, you will see that the same POI is also linked to a route of somebody else, and it will also appear in the same color. So that color is pushed everywhere, except there's only one exception. If you go and search for a place of interest, here at this place, we keep it all in the same color, because otherwise it would be a color book, and that's not something we want. So here, your color will not be implemented in the blue, but in a standard color. But once you navigate to a detailed page of a route, then the POI will be shown in that specific color you added. So with that, I think I have covered the first two items. Pascal, back to you.
Okay, I will share my screen. And so in the second part, or actually the third chapter, will be about map layers, and the RouteViewer and the route planner, how we make use of the map layers. I will make use first on the RouteViewer. So let's search for a route, and I'm going to select my favorites. And I have already a set of favorite routes, and I can zoom in a certain area and see my specific favorite routes. Let's take one here. From one of the top authors discovering Belgium. One of the things you will notice is we added a lot more information of the paths which are available on the maps. So there's a lot of indication, red dotted, black dotted, blue dotted, and they all have a different meaning. And of course, the main focus is on walking and cycling. For instance, the blue dotted line is a great cycling route, which is also car-free. The red dotted line is ideal for walking. Of course, how do you know the legend? Well, very easily you can click on the map layers. So that's the symbol of the map layer you see here. And next to the map layers, which we select, here's the RouteYou map. If you look, there's a question mark. You can click on the question mark, and then you get to the legend of the map. So here it's indicated what does the white road mean. That's especially a destination road for cars. What's the blue dotted blue line mean? That's for paved cycle paths, car-free. That's what I just said, and that's the dotted line, which is the footpath here, and it keeps on going. That's bridle ways for specifically for horses, but of course you can walk on them too, and it keeps on going, so you can just read through all those options. So we've that's been added, so that's a lot of extra information which is directly made available. I'm just going to go to planner route, because also there you have all that network information available. Before I forget, let's already look in the future. In the very near future, that black line will change in a more transparent, wider line, where you can see the information beneath the road, so you can clearly indicate or see what type of route is available. So that's coming up soon, which means probably in a couple of weeks already. And let's go back to the route planner. You select a route planner with this info. I'm going to create a route here, and I'm just going to create a cycling node route. So the system automatically activates already the cycling node network. Let's zoom in to a certain area, and yeah, then it becomes all detailed. Let's go to the area of north of France, and here again you can see, besides the node network, I can actually switch that off. As you can see, I can switch off the cycling node network. If I zoom in now, I see again those dotted lines. It's the same kind of structure which is made available on the RouteViewer. So that's this base map which has been extended. And if you want to have a very clear view, for instance, for cycling, we advise you also to use the Open Cycle map. Let's select this. If we select the Open Cycle map, you get a lot more information. The node network is one, but the Eurovelo network in red is there. The all kind of interesting route structures which are specifically made available for cycling are available here. I'm just going to switch to walking, because if I switch to walking, I can also select the alternative, which is the Open Walk map instead of the Open Cycle map. If I select the Open Walk map, if you go into a certain area, let's do that. Let's take, for instance, the Pyrenees. You find a lot of detailed information of paths which are interesting to select for your hiking tour. So that's made available. In the RouteYou map, you have a combination of both, but here they're more kind of split. So let's go back to the RouteYou map and let's go back to the cycling node network. I'm just going to select this one. Where's the cycling? Yeah, just the node network. Let's select again, recreational cycling. And here, where's the node network? Oh yeah, of course, that's not available there because it doesn't exist in the Pyrenees. That's why it's not shown. So let's go back to where it is available. For instance, in the north of France, if I select it there, of course, we're not allowing you to plan with something which is not available. And this is the node-to-node cycling network. So now I selected as well the map layer where I see the node cycling network as the routing option. So what's also new is that before those numbers was something really annoying. If you were clicking on it, the line was going over the numbers and you couldn't see the numbers anymore. Now you keep on seeing them. They're floating above the blue line. So that's now also made available here. So it's actually more convenient to make use of that. So you also see now this node network, which is extended to the north of France. Let's have a look to the other areas here in the south of Belgium. In this area, the area of Chimay-Couvin, there's an extension, but also in other parts of Wallonia. A lot is going on in Germany, and you can actually go to East Germany and even to Denmark, as I mentioned already before. So you can now internationally make a cycling node network from A to B. Oh, it's too far apart. Oh yeah, I know what's going on. So I can keep on selecting. Of course, here it stops. I can actually switch to the other option, which I have. Recreational cycling nicest. I'm just going to keep on going. I'm there now, reaching the other cycling node network. I can switch back from node to node cycling, and I can keep on going over the network north of Berlin. So that allows me to create a cycling node network even internationally and using the parts which are already available. I'm just going to clear the route. Because I quickly want to show you something simple. I can also make a very quick round trip that existed already before. I'm going to start in Hazebroek, which has an original Flemish name, but it's in the north of France. And I'm just going to save my route. And then I also want to show you that the nodes which have been created and followed are available, first of all, in the description, but they're also available here on the network. And as you can see, you can also switch to other map layers. One I mentioned already is the topographic map of France. Let's select this one. So now I switch to the topographic map of France, and you see already the huge detail of contour lines, height lines, and detailed housing constructions and so on. So that's very handy. Maybe not for cyclists, but definitely handy for hikers and walkers because you have so much detail available in those maps. So that's a few examples of what has been extended. Oh yeah, the last part I forgot to tell you. Now as a user, I decided, for instance, not to have points of interest. Let me show you. RouteYou automatically adds points of interest. Here they are. Maybe as a user or an author, I say, well, I don't want them. Please remove them. In the past, that was a bit annoying for the users who says, well, I would like to have points of interest information along that route, but the author decided to remove them. So what we've made now available is that in the map layer, you can select the places of interest yourself. So you can select places of interest, and then we show places of interest which are available nearby. For instance, this railway, I can click on it and get the information there. But I can go back and I can very specifically select points of interest, such as I want places of interest. Let's click on it, and you see here on the right side, if I select the filter here, I can select, yeah, what points of interest would you like to have? For instance, I can select only, I want bed and breakfasts points of interest. And now I get only bed and breakfasts which are available in that area. I can again click on it. I'm just going to open another window, see here the information. If I like it, I can book it. If I don't like it, I don't select it, for instance. You can select points of interest, but you can also select themes, such as, let's select all again. For instance, if I want to see, is there a story about the war, for instance, because there's a lot of history about the war. I'm just going to select all points of interest, but it might be a hotel, it might be a church, it might be anything. So it's not related to type, but it's more related in this case to a theme, and the theme could be history or the war. So I can now select the war, and I can see, it's like, well, in this area, is there some information available of the war? And let's see if I still selected something here. Oh, in this case, there's nothing here available. So, oh, there's something here available. I can select here, oh, what's there about the war, and here I can see the information, what's available. So in this way, you can also use the map as a kind of help or tourist guide for your specific theme. So just have a look on the themes and the characteristics. It's almost endless what kind of combinations you can make with the route if you want more information than what's available on the route itself. So that's a new feature. The fourth chapter is about navigation. Let me show you the navigation part. And well, navigating, of course, you don't do that on your desktop. Most of the time you do that on your smartphone. So I'm going to move over to my smartphone. I'm just going to put them next to each other. And then to show you clearly is like, how do I get from A to B? Well, here's my smartphone solution. Here it's already the app, but let me show you first how you can get there. If you search for a route, you selected a route, for instance, and you say, well, this route I would like to have on my phone. How do you do that? Well, you could also search for that route on your phone, but you can also click here on the download, open in the RouteYou app, and you can just scan this QR code. And when your phone scans the QR code, it automatically opens on your smartphone. Because this system, my computer and my smartphone knows that I'm logged in. You can see that here. The structure is the same. It also allows me to say, well, have a look at my last viewed routes. I see that I'm still in Dutch here. I'm going to switch to English here. So the system knows what is your last viewed route? Well, this is my last viewed route. This is my last view point of interest. This was the route I just created. So this route, let me go back here, and this route is exactly the same. Where were you? Yeah. So this information here with places of interest. Oh yeah, I didn't add some, but also with commands, all that information, that's exactly the same. And I can do something with it. So you can just scan the QR code, or you can use your last viewed, or you can also just search on your smartphone. So once you get to RouteYou, and the question is, how do I get to RouteYou? Well, the most obvious thing in how to get to RouteYou on your smartphone is just Google RouteYou, and you will click on it, and the mobile website will open. I will show you immediately the mobile website. So then you end up probably something here, and you indicate, look, I want to find a route near me. That's one of the most obvious things you want to do. You say, I want to look for a route. Show me the map. Here's my current position. That's my red dot. I want to select, and here I can indicate, I want a walking route. Let's go back to the map. It's like, now I only get walking routes, or I want to have cycling routes, recreational cycling routes, and I want to select following Bruegel. I could select it on the map, or I could select it here. I'm just going to select it here. So this is now the route I found on my smartphone. Again, you could have done it on the desktop and then just scan the QR code. So what's new? Well, I can navigate on smartphone, select it here, I can press the start button. That's not new, that existed already. Share my position, that was also available already. And I can start. The system will ask me, would you like to have a full screen? I will say, no, I don't want this. Because otherwise my full screen will be taken. So what's interesting now is that what is new is that this profile thing, which also exists here, I can click it, close it and open it, that also exists during your navigation. And that's very handy. Here's my position. If there would be my friend, which is sharing her or his position too, I would also see him or her on my profile. But for myself, it's interesting to see, is like, oh, well, the tough climb comes here, but then there's a very tough climb, and then we're almost done. There's just one little hill coming up. So that's very handy to know, but it's also handy to see where others are versus your destination. So that's a new feature on the navigation. What's also new is that the wake lock feature, that's a technical term for saying, is like, look, if you navigate, after a while your phone detects you're not doing much of interaction with your phone, I go to standby mode. Of course, you don't want that. That's what they call wake lock. So that wake lock mechanism is a very complex thing with all the different phones. That has been improved a lot. So that's now working fine on Android and Apple versions. There's still one exception. Some versions of I just forgot the brand. It's going to come back to me. Samsung, yeah, some Samsung phones have an old browser system. There, the solution is very simple. Just use as a browser a Firefox or a Chrome, and you will just do fine. Then it's working perfectly. So that's about the wake lock update. And then what we didn't release yet, but I want to show you already today, is what's still in beta. It's the navigation turn by turn. Let me show you here. So here's my beta version, I think. Let me check. No, that's not the, yeah, here's my beta version, that's better. Yeah, I'm just going to remove those. So this is, you see already, it's still in beta. This is a route I just selected. I'm going to show it on the map, and you see already here an indication. When I press start, I can do the same thing. I can share, I can start. It will ask me, would you have a full screen? And it will tell me, it's like, look, you will have to take a right turn in 370 meters. Now the sound is not switched on, but it will tell me if I'm coming close that I will have to turn in probably then 40 meters to the right side in the Roomstraat. So that's spoken instructions, visual instructions. There's also another great feature. If you deviate from it, it shouts at you in a nice way, but still it shouts at you, so you know that you probably missed your turn and that you have to go back because you were maybe not paying attention. So that's new. It also works if you have overlapping routes. That was technically a hard thing to figure out. So if your route comes back or curls 3 times, that you get the right in the indication. So that's also solved. So we're thinking of releasing this definitely the coming weeks. So you will have that available. So that's a lot of work we put in there to make it available. So that's coming soon for the Plus accounts. We'll have that available. So that was about navigation. So the next part is a lot of functionality related to prints, and that's something Rien will talk about. Rien?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, I will share my screen again. Voila. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So let me take you to the next part, which is about prints. And we have several updates of new features that are linked to prints. The first one, let me take you to one of my routes here. My own here, you can see that's my own. I will take most recently created. Well, I will take this one as an example. So if you go to the detailed page of a route, In the RouteViewer, you have several buttons here. It's the information button, and the second one is about downloading and printing a route. So if I click this and go to print, then the first item that we changed in the print options is something small, but it can come in handy. And it's about it's kind of localization map that we inserted, a small one here on the overview prints. So as you can see now, there's like a small map here that indicates where in Flanders or in Belgium that this route is located. So that's something we added, something small. Not all the changes are really big. Another thing we have added is about the note prints. So as Pascal has shown you before, let me show it here again. If I go to plan a route, create a route, and let's say I want to go hiking, I want to make a recreational hiking route, and I want to choose to go via the hiking node network. As I click it here, that layer will pop up. So maybe we can go here in the vicinity of Amsterdam, for example. Let's say here in Landsmeer, I want to go hiking and I want to make a hiking route via the node network. Well, I can make a round trip. I can just click here somewhere. It will snap to that network and give me a route. 50 kilometers, that's a bit much. Let's say 18, and then here I can play with the direction and things like that. Let's say I like this route, I'm going to save it. Here you can indicate several stuff. You can add a great title, a great description, and we do advise you to do that because if people find your route, that may be a lot more interesting. I will now skip that part because that's things we explain in other webinars. But let's say I saved this route. I made it with a node routing, which means that now if I go to the print option, I will have a new print option, and that's the node strip. And the node strip only appears if you have created the route or if the route that you find is created with a node routing. So it's not available if you, for example, create or plan a route with a routing like walking nicest, and you decide to visualize the node network. If you use the routing walking nicest, then you will not have a node strip available in the print options. If you use, like I did, the node-to-node walking option in the routing list, then you will have a node strip. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, what do we give you in the node strip? Well, it's I'm going to download it to show you. So first of all, it's the node numbers that are indicated in the correct order. And next to that, we also mention the total distance from the start. And since time now, we also indicate the distance between two successive nodes as well. So this was our standard node strip option. As you can see, you can cut it here, and then sometimes people they fix it to their if they're going by bike. In this case, it's a walking route, but if you go by bike, sometimes people fix it to their steering wheel. So that's an interesting one. But since the beginning of this year, we also added next to the vertical option or format a horizontal one, and it's kind of the same indication. So again, here it's the node numbers in the correct order with the distance from the start and the distance in between two nodes that is mentioned. As you can see, if you have several ones, so this format is also particularly interesting for if you go by bike, you have like those plastic square things where you can easily insert this kind of horizontal format of the node strip. As you can see, if it's divided in several quarters, then we will number it as well, so you don't lose the right order of the numbers. Okay, so that's a second thing we changed. Let me show you something else. If I go back to planning a route, and let's now say I want to create a recreational cycling route, but I want to use again the node-to-node cycling. Well, now I can zoom in here. And I think Pascal mentioned it before, we have a difference between like the virtual nodes and the physical ones. So as you can see here, the physical ones, they are outlined with a straight line, and the visual ones, they are outlined with a dotted line. So this means that there's a node network here, but it's not signposted on the field or in the field. These with the straight line, these are signposted in the field. So if I now, for example, create a route here from Linkebeek, let's say I want to go cycling here, I'm going to create a round trip again. I can just click the network here and a route will be made. As you can see, it now takes into account both the visual node network as the physical one, so the one that is signposted in the terrain. If I save this route, again, insert a good title and a good description. That's important. But if I now go to the route that I saved and I go to the print options, again, here I have the node strip as I used a node routing option. I can now download it. And then again, I will have the vertical format and the horizontal format. But again, as is shown on the map, also here in the node strip, you will see the difference between the physical, so signposted nodes, and the ones that are only digital available. So these are not signposted on the field, but you can use the combination either way. Again, here you have the horizontal option, and this is numbered again if you cut it, so you don't lose the right order. So that's the second thing about the node strips that we changed. Then another thing that's changed in the print options is that, for example, if I go back to my last viewed roads and I take this walking route through the Henbrugse-Meersen, then let me show you, as you can see here, this is a part where you have like small streets, but also like the walking paths. We even have an interesting map layer here, like the road properties, which indicates even better which roads are unpaved. If you want to know the legend, you can just click this question mark, and then it will be indicated here. Like, for example, here, this orange line is an indication that it's a bit rugged, but an unpaved road. So as you can see here, it's indicated on this map, but also if you go now to the print again, let me download the overview print, then you will see, and that's something new, that it's also indicated in the print. Before it wasn't really visible, but now it is. As you can see here, let me zoom in a bit. This was the path, and here you can see the dotted line that comes up, which is an indication that this part of the route is not paved. So that's really handy when you take a print to guide you or to navigate on in the field. What's also important to know that that will be, if you look at the percentage of dotted line, that's also actually, if you go to, if you create a route, the first comment you get is one of RouteYou itself. So that's our RouteYou Start Tracker, where we give you some practical information and an indication of practical things that are linked to your route. And here it's, for example, indicated that 18% of my total route is unpaved. And if you would measure it here on the map, you will see that this 18% is actually those dotted lines. So that's also indicated here and shown now on the map. So that's something important. Let me go back to the print options, because there's even more. And the next ones are linked to the Roadbook. As I mentioned before, here I'm logged in with a RouteYou Premium account. And what's also special for the Premium account is that you can add like a promo banner and a promo logo. So if I go to my profile and the public data, and I choose here to add, for example, a promo banner, the promo logo and promo banner, we have had it for quite a while now. But what is new is before, I now save it, it's uploaded a promo banner. If I confirm it and now go back to that route again, last view, walking route through the Henbrugse Meersen. If I download, what was already available is that promo banner is shown on the overview map. Let me show you how that looked like. Voila, download. As you can see here, it's now here mentioned the promo banner on the bottom of your page. But it wasn't shown before in the Roadbook, but now we added that as well. And if you now download the Roadbook, you will see that the promo banner is shown there as well. So that's something we added or updated. It's how it depends on your point of view, if it's something new or an update. So from now on, also in the Roadbook, a promo banner will be shown. Then there's something else about the Roadbook. So the Roadbook is an essentially like a more detailed maps that are shown here. And also you have an instruction list that is connected to your route you want to navigate on the terrain. So it will give you an indication where you have to make a turn and things like that. So that's the Roadbook. How do you interpret these small maps? Actually, if you cut them out and you kind of glue them together, then the overview map will appear. I will show you here. I have done it for this route. So you can see it's 1, 2, 3. And as you can see, the fourth one isn't glued in yet, but you can see that you have like this red line and it's more pinkish. But each map you have like a more intense red color. So that's the part that we want to indicate on that specific detailed map. And if you make an overlay, you can see that if you glue all these parts together, then you have the overview map kind of. So that's how those small maps work. As a basic option, this will show for example, like 6 maps on one page. But something new you can do here as well is when you go to the Roadbook option, you have here the button of More option. This is available from a Plus account. You can now choose how many maps per pages you want to show in the Roadbook. So 8 will have no difference here because it's kind of a small route. But if I wanted to show, for example, only 2 maps per page, I can choose that. I can download that map again. And as you will see, the results will be that I will now have, instead of 4 maps or 6 maps on one page, I will only have a maximum of 2 maps on one page. It's the same idea. So you have to go from map 1. You start here, you follow the more intense red line. Where it stops, you go to the second map, and then you follow again the more intense line. So that's the same, but here the map is bigger, and also the scale is changed a bit. So you can also choose to have only 1, as you can see here, 1, 2, 4, 6 till 8 maps on one page. It depends on the length of your routes or your own preferences. So that's another thing we changed for the Roadbook. And then we also changed something in the guide. Let me download this one for you. I'll clean up this a bit in the meanwhile. Voila. Now go back. The guide is created. So this is how a guide looks like. So here it's the title of the route, who has made the route, my logo is indicated, my header is indicated, some pictures of things I will encounter along my route. You have an overview map. And then this is changed. The height profile is not something new, but we kind of changed the layout a bit. And we, instead of a portrait, a horizontal view, we now have made it like it's in the other direction. So if you have this page, you have a much better view on the height profile. There's not a lot of height difference in this road. It's quite flat, but it can be very handy and give you a clear view if it's a more accidental terrain, so with more hills or hilltops. So that's something that changed. We're still not there yet. There's other things that have changed as well. And this is a specific functionality that is interesting or available from a premium account or higher. So what you can do, as you can see here in the more options, so I will close this one, is that we also offer the option to print a map royalty-free. So if I click this, I can download the map again. The output is not that different, but what is it about that royalty-free option? Well, it's important to know that royalty-free means that you can print or duplicate this map like in an unlimited number of prints. So normally if you print a map, you can make one, we have like a limit of maximum 10 prints, and you're not allowed to share it or do anything like that. But if you have the royalty-free print, if you have access to that, you can print it in as many copies as you want. So that's particularly interesting for organizations or businesses that want to make flyers or, for example, brochures or maybe books with several maps in it. In that case, it might be very interesting to have the access to that royalty-free print. Be aware, royalty-free doesn't mean that you have access, that you have copyright on everything. So in the first place, you are only allowed to do it where we offer it to you. So if I go, for example, to search for a route, and I will have to clear my filters here. And again, maybe zoom a bit to my location. For example, I take this route, and this is a route from somebody else. If I want to print it and choose the overview and go to more options, then the royalty-free print is not available here. And that's because this is not my route. I don't have the copyright on this information, so I can't make royalty-free prints. So copyright and royalty-free is not the same thing. So that's important to know. Also, let's say that I'm gonna create my route again. I'm gonna zoom a bit to my current location here. I use this button. Let's say I want to make this walking route again, make it a bit smaller, go in another direction. Like this is, I think it's probably exactly the route I made before. Let's now say, instead of the RouteYou map as a background, I want to save it with the Topomap. If I'm now going to save this route, I'm not going to indicate everything here, but just going to save this route. It will be shown on, or I will show it on the Topomap. If I now go to prints and overview, and I want to, oh, no, not download it, go to the royalty-free. It's not available here because the royalty-free option is related to our RouteYou map and not to the Topomap. We don't have access, or it's not agreed upon with NGI that you can use the Topomap royalty-free. So that's important. So keep in mind that if it's not offered here, it's because it's not available. So that's important to know. And then one more thing I want to show you, that's something new we have, but it's only available for pro accounts or higher. And actually, it's not a standard thing. We only implement it if it's requested. We have, for example, a partner like, let me take you to our partner channel. And then here we have like Zuiderhuis, which is a travel company. And they offer routes. People can go hiking or cycling somewhere in Flanders or abroad. And then when people book their journey, they will get a guide with all the routes in it. What's changed now, if I, for example, go to their groups, I'm now presenting as I'm a customer. As you can see, normally you won't have access to this page, but what has changed is what we had before is that you can make an overview print of a group. But what's new is that you now can also make a guide of a group. Let me download it. As this is mostly linked to multiple routes, this will have as a consequence that it will take longer to download this print because much more information needs to be combined in one document. So you will have to wait a little bit longer, but I think it will appear any minute now. Let me clean up this again. Or I can show you, I have downloaded it before, but here it's here already. As you can see, it's still not that long. So as you can see here now, it's in Dutch, sorry for that, because it's something new we haven't implemented on a lot of accounts yet. But as you can see, they have nice pictures, you have the header, and then here, instead of one route, there's an indication that in this guide, you will get a description of several routes. So a general description, and then a general overview map, which indicates all the different routes that are linked to that group. Again, for each route separately, you have the location map, and then an overview map. You have the height profile, and then here you have the guide. It's indicated like, okay, on day one, you're gonna do this route, and this is the route description. You also have the detailed maps, and then the description of your instructions, and information of the things you will encounter along the way. So that's something new as well for the prints, available for those accounts that want to offer these kind of things. So that was everything about the thing, everything we changed or updated on prints. There's one more thing I want to show you. What's also changed is that we kind of personalize the messages we show or send to you. And how can you see that? If I, for example, go to our news page, I want to search for a news item. Here I get an overview of the news items that are relevant for me. If I click open the filters, you can see that you can choose to show news items that are not personalized. And what does that mean? Before I had a difference, maybe. True. I thought I could show you, but normally, let me show. No, I have to confirm. Yes. As you can see now, as I chose not personalized and I confirm, then another news item pops up here, and it's one about motorbikes. So on this account, I haven't created any motorbike routes. So it's we keep kind of profiling in the sense that we keep track of the things you like or which way your preference go. And then we try to match the information we show to you or send to you to your preferences. But as you can see, you will always have access to everything if you want. But maybe as if you are mainly a cyclist, you don't want to be bothered with news about walking routes. Well, in this way, we can just show you the information that is essential for you. So that's also something we are working on to give you a more personalized experience on our platform. Voilà, Pascal, I think with that, I covered the next chapters. Back to you.
Thank you, Rien. The last 10 minutes, I want to talk about some new aspects of the MySite, MyApp, and what that does. So let's start with that one. So what's the MySite, MyApp? Let me start with what's the channel on RouteYou. So this is an example of an account, the Sonian Forest, which is an area southeast of Brussels, forest area, one of the most beautiful forest areas. And it's an organization which collects routes and places of interest in that area. And it's all combining it here. So that's you're still within RouteYou, as you will recognize. You can go to other places, you can search other routes. So that's for them maybe a disadvantage as an organization, because you can go away from their set of routes. It works as you know already. You can look for routes, you can go back to their other information, but there's something new and specific about that, because that exists already a long time, your own channel within RouteYou. They also have a route planner, and that exists also a long time already, but this is a very nice example of a personalized map. So they have specific map layout they use on their boards, their billboards on in the forest, to see where you have to walk or can walk. So that's the first part. So you see the specific map layout is based on their coloring. there are also specific indications, which are their entrance points into the forest. And on top of that, we combine it with specific sets of points of interest they want to have here, such as the Royal Country Riding Club, but also the Arboretum you can visit, and you can keep on asking information and asking see information about what's there to see and to know about this chapel, for instance. So that's all there, and it's combined in their personalized planner. So now as a user, I can select my own route. I can say, look, I want to start at this train station. I want to plan via this train station. I would like to go to the other side of the forest, then to the north side of the forest, and come back to the starting point, and I have my own route. If you don't like this way, you can still adapt it and you make your own way. Of course, we are making use of the content the owner, Sonian Forest, is providing in this way and is steering you in the way you as an organization want to steer the user. So that's an example. In this case, I'm logged in as party A, so it's my route now I just created, so I can print it and do stuff further with it. Still, I'm within this this account, and here on the right, I show you the MySite, MyApp. Let's go back to the previous one. Let's go back to Sonian Forest. So this is again their account with their routes, their route planner, and so on. But you also see here there's a shortcut. If I select that shortcut, you will see that I get to a structure which we call the MySite, MyApp. It works as well on smartphone in this size as on desktop in this size. I show you here the MySite, MyApp in smartphone format. It's the same structure. The structure is one main menu, and most of the time that's a very limited set with some major features, such as I want to use it in English, I want to use it in French. And then the second thing is the structure. They as an organization want to structure their information. So they structure this. This is, I want to present walking and jogging routes. I can select it. Here I get an overview of the routes they selected and the routes which are listed. I can select, for instance, people with reduced mobility. So that's routes for people with reduced mobility. Again, they show the area. And it takes a while. I'm just going to present the list. I don't know what. That takes too long. I'm just going to go to the next one. I can select cycling and mountain bike routes. I think there might be an internet issue that it just takes too long, but you understand you get the kind of same lists as you get on the MySite, MyApp within that area. So I think there's just a small internet hiccup where it doesn't allow you to see the routes. Also, the route planner I showed you before is also available here. It's in this is in smartphone format. I can also show you it in desktop format, the route planner. Again, that's with the same mapping structure as you saw before. The big difference with this MySite, their own website, is that they have this available with their own content, and you can't get away from here. And that's very different from the channel in RouteYou. So that's one aspect. So it functions the same way. I can go from A to B as I was demonstrating before. Let me check again. In the meantime, yeah, the hiccup is gone. So here I can select, for instance, horse riding routes. I can select one, and also here you have the navigation available. So I can navigate, I can start in the same way as before I showed you before. So this is, for instance, allows me to navigate also this route. Of course, I'm a bit far away, but it will move along, and it will also get turn-by-turn instructions when that's being released. So that's about the MySite, MyApp. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, here we're still in the mobile website, but if you want to have the app, you just click on the install the app. So this whole environment also becomes available as an app, technically a PWA, which is Progressive Web App Technology. And it's then you don't have this part here anymore in the browser, and you have a button which allows you to access this kind of information straight from your smartphone without having to go to that specific URL. So that's also available. What wasn't available in the past is that this route is also offline available. That wasn't possible yet in the past. Now that's also possible. So if you want to go offline with your mobile website or your app, most of the people think you need an app for going offline. That's not correct. So you can make use of the offline option also in the mobile website. As you can see here, it will work if you're disconnected, and sometimes in the forest you are disconnected, then it's a good idea to work offline with the information you have here available. So that's the part about the MySite, my app. And the last part I want to talk about is the quality bot, which we invested quite a bit in. What's the quality bot doing? Well, in the past, when you were creating a route, the scoring system was based on a manual review. So for instance, let's take a recreational cycling route, and let's say we're going to go from Birmingham to Peterborough. So of course we are creating a route based on the available information, but there can always be something wrong with that information. So we have to know for sure that you verified that route. So, well, how was that done? Well, the first part which you can indicate is like, look, I checked this route. This is a great route. You can indicate here and say, well, I want to share it, in this case with RouteYou and everybody else, and I want to submit it as a recommended route. So that's the first thing you do. You can do that, by the way, with any other route. So what's new is that you can also indicate is like, look, I checked this route. It's pretty average. It's very good. Or if it's average and you want to make a real comment about it and say, well, look, there's something wrong, you can add it here. You can also indicate to say, well, look, I checked the following 4 main issues and they're all 4 correct, or one of the 3 is not correct. And you can even say, well, please post my info. Let's keep it positive in this case, great route. And it's also going to be posted as feedback to the route for everybody else. So what's now happening and what's different with the past is that there was a manual verification, which was based already on a lot of information. But what we now do is we automatically try to evaluate and say, well, look, that's for the moment the number of score we can give the route. And why do we give that score? Well, we base that on an analysis, and that analysis is shown to you. And that's what we call the quality bot. It's an automatic engine which says, well, we looked at the route. First of all, the title of the route geometry, is there something weird with it? The route type, is it detailed enough? For instance, it could be that you say this is a road bike route or a race cycle route, but you take unpaved parts. And then we say, well, the route type is not matching with the type of roads you are taking. All the routes you took, we recognize as paths and roads. That could be also that you take some paths which we don't know yet. The minimum distance is acceptable. So there are a lot of criteria. You just can go through them to indicate is like, look, that's part of our evaluation. If you're wondering what's all behind it, just click here. And you will read about it. What are the evaluation criteria? What is the objective? What can you do? What do we do? Why do we give such a score? How can you improve it? So that's what you can see here. So that's completely automated. Well, I have to say completely automated, but there's still like a backfall where there's a manual interpretation possible in certain kind of weird situations where we say, well, that's a bit strange. And then we have still a manual review in certain cases. So that's new. So that's something you can do yourself. For every route you see, you can have an indication. There's an automatic system behind it, and eventually also a manual one if that would be necessary, based on a lot of business rules which are automated in the system. So that's a summary of the lot of work my colleagues did the last 6 months. We're still busy with a lot of more work. So I would invite you already on our next overview at the end of this year. Let me just tell you what the major things are we are working on. Well, one of the things is the new design we will implement on quite some pages which we didn't do yet. The new design review has to be done on the RouteViewer. On this page, we will adapt it and structure it in a more logical format. We're also busy with the undo function of the route planner. That's also a big request from a lot of you already. The turn-by-turn navigation, as I said already, the first version will be made available the coming weeks. But we will, of course, extend it with some extra functionality the coming year. So those are the main major issues which we will work upon and we will present at the end of the year. Rein, I want to check if there are no further questions about this.
No further questions.
Then I'll invite you to make use of the new functionality and to plan your routes and share them with your friends and colleagues or members of your organization, and enjoy it very much during the coming summer. Thank you very much and see you probably after the summer.
Bye.
Rein, thank you very much for your explanation. Thanks to you too.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.